I paid their rent for 3 years, bought all their furniture, filled their refrigerator every single week. And when I called to ask about their wedding date, she smiled coldly and said, "You were not special enough to be invited." My name is Renata. I am 71 years old, and for 3 long years I made the biggest mistake of my life. I believed that love could be bought with money. After my husband Robert died, I dedicated my entire existence to my son, Max. I worked double shifts. I skipped every vacation. I ate simple cheap meals alone at my kitchen table. Also, my son could live comfortably without feeling the pain of losing his father. I thought that was what a good mother did. I thought sacrifice meant love. I had no idea how terribly wrong I was. When Max married Lena, I welcomed her with completely open arms. I treated her like the daughter I never had. From the very first month, I started paying their $500 monthly rent without being asked. I furnished their entire apartment from scratch. I filled their refrigerator every week when they had nothing left. I paid for medical emergencies, car loans, credit cards, and personal expenses. In 3 years, I gave them over $33,000. Every single dollar came from the savings. My late husband Robert had left, so I could live peacefully and comfortably in my old age. I gave it all away with a genuine smile because I truly believed they loved me back. The day my entire world collapsed started like any normal Tuesday morning. I called Max excitedly to ask about their upcoming wedding plans. I had already spent $200 on a beautiful pale pink dress hanging in my closet. I had carefully saved $1,000 as their wedding gift. I had called my sister Diana in Chicago to share the wonderful news. I had cleaned my house from top to bottom, thinking we would all celebrate together after the ceremony. When I walked into their apartment that afternoon, Lena looked me directly in the eye and smiled. But it was not a warm smile. It was cold, calculated, unforgettable. She said with complete confidence, "Oh, we already got married yesterday. We only invited special people." Those 4 words hit me like a bucket of ice water poured directly over my soul. Special people. I stood there holding my phone like it weighed 1,000 pounds, completely unable to move. My son Max sat on the sofa I had bought for them and refused to meet my eyes. I looked around that apartment filled with every single piece of furniture I had purchased, the refrigerator I kept stocked, the walls I had helped paint, and I realized in that devastating moment that I had built a comfortable home for 2 people who did not consider me worthy of their most important day. I drove home in complete silence that evening and that night. I opened social media and saw everything. The photos were everywhere. Lena's parents proudly posing with the couple, her siblings raising champagne glasses, Lena wearing a white dress. I had unknowingly helped finance with the $800 I gave her last month. I saw flowers, decorations, guests, and joy. Everything I had been deliberately excluded from. I sat on my bed that night and cried for hours. Not tears of sadness, but tears of years of accumulated pain finally escaping from deep inside me. I cried for every sacrifice, for every meal skipped, for every vacation canceled, for the foolish woman I had allowed myself to become. Exactly 7 days later, my phone rang. It was Lena. Her voice was completely unrecognizable. Gone was the confident woman who had excluded me from her wedding. In her place was someone trembling and desperate. "Renata, the rent is overdue. The landlord will kick us out this week. You forgot the transfer." I sat in silence, thinking about every time I had rushed to the bank for them. Every plan canceled. Every dollar taken from my retirement savings. And then calmly, I said the 7 words that changed everything forever. "Didn't I warn you I only help special people?" The silence on that phone was so deep I could hear my own heartbeat. Lena stammered, but nothing came out. For the first time in 3 years, it was not me trembling. It was her. I hung up and sat alone in my kitchen, feeling something completely new rising inside me. Not anger, not sadness, clarity. Pure, cold, beautiful clarity. I finally saw everything as it truly was. I had never been their family. I had always been their financial resource. And that painful realization became the foundation of everything I would build next. Next morning, I woke before sunrise with absolute determination. I went straight to the bank and canceled every automatic transfer. I opened a new account they had no access to. I called Mr. Weber, my trusted lawyer. I changed every lock and installed security cameras on every entrance. When Mr. Weber reviewed my financial records, his expression said everything before his words did. Mrs. Richter, with this money you could have traveled the world. Instead, you financed the lives of two people who did not even invite you to their wedding. 3 days after I made those changes, I came home to find 3 cars parked directly in front of my house. Max, Lena, and a stranger I did not recognize. Through my new cameras I could see movement inside. They had used their keys and entered without my permission. My blood ran completely cold. I took a deep breath and opened my own front door. The stranger introduced himself as a family law attorney they had hired. He placed a folder on my dining table and smiled professionally. Mrs. Richter, your children are deeply concerned about your mental well-being. We have prepared a power of attorney document that would allow Max to manage your finances more efficiently during this difficult time. I picked up that folder without opening it, even once, and dropped it directly into my trash can. Paragraph 10. Lena dropped all pretense then, and her real face finally appeared completely. You cannot do this, Renata. We made serious plans based on your support. We bought things. We took on financial obligations because we absolutely knew we could always count on you. I looked at her calmly and replied, obligations built on my money, not on my happiness, not on my presence in your lives, not on any genuine love or respect, just on my money. I pointed firmly toward my front door. They left, but their lawyer turned back before exiting and said coldly, "This is not over. Mrs. Richter, your family has legal options available to them." I closed my door quietly behind them and stood, alone in my living room surrounded by the most beautiful silence I had experienced in years. Paragraph 11. They were true to their threat. Several weeks later, Max and Lena filed a formal lawsuit in family court officially requesting that I be declared mentally incompetent and that Max be assigned as my legal guardian with full control over all my finances and assets. My own son, the boy I had raised completely alone after his father died, the child I had sacrificed everything for, was now trying to legally take away my freedom and steal everything I had left. They had fabricated evidence carefully, fake statements from paid witnesses, distorted pharmacy records twisted out of context, a hired psychiatrist who claimed that my refusal to sign their power of attorney was itself proof of dangerous mental decline. The manipulation was so calculated and so cold it took my breath away. But I had been preparing for exactly this. Mr. Weber had documented everything meticulously, every bank transfer, every gift, every threat, every privacy violation. Dr. Moore, an independent psychiatrist, evaluated me for 2 hours. Her conclusion was clear. My cognitive results were well above average for my age. My neighbors and friends testified about my clarity and strength. Even my pharmacist came forward and explained exactly how Lena had tricked him into signing a statement he never understood. The day of the trial, I put on my best black suit and looked in the mirror. I saw a woman who had been afraid for too long, a woman who had confused sacrifice with love. But I also saw something new: strength, dignity, determination. I walked into that courtroom with 71 years of wisdom behind me. When Mr. Weber asked why, I stopped supporting Max and Lena. I looked directly at the judge and said clearly, because what I received in return was never love. It was always just a transaction. My money was welcome in their lives, but I as a person never truly was. Judge Miller deliberated for 2 hours that felt like 2 years. When he returned, his words felt like music. Mrs. Renata Richter is in complete possession of her mental faculties. Her financial decisions are fully rational and within her legal rights. This lawsuit was motivated entirely by financial interest. The request for guardianship is permanently denied. I had won. Outside, Lena stared at me with pure hatred before walking away. Max looked at me one final time, and for just 1 second I thought I saw regret. But it was already too late. 3 months later, I sold my house and started fresh. I donated half my savings to organizations, protecting elderly people from family financial abuse. With the rest, I finally began living the life I had postponed for decades. I traveled through Europe. I took painting classes. I made real friendships built on genuine love and mutual respect. I heard later that Max and Lena moved to a smaller apartment and Lena finally got her first real job. Perhaps hardship would teach them what my generosity never could. Some evenings, I stand on my balcony watching the stars thinking about the woman I was 1 year ago. Afraid, manipulated, convinced she had to purchase love. That woman is completely gone. My name is Renata. I am 72 years old, and I have finally learned the most important lesson of my life. The most important person I must love and protect is myself.